I rise today to ask the Senate to adjourn in memory for Judy Heumann, a longtime Berkeley resident, but who has been based in Washington, D.C. for the last 30 years, who is widely regarded as the mother of the disability rights movement. And I hope in doing this aim that I can do justice to Judy's remarkable life and contributions. As I referenced, Judy was a pivotal and forceful national and international leader in the disability rights movement, but her contributions benefit us all. I am constantly reminded of, while disability may come early for some, it is something each and every one of us could experience at any point, whether permanent or temporary. And thus, the physical changes, such as curb cuts and other things to make it easier to get around, whether you're in a chair or other device, or the civil rights changes that enable you to attend school, to work, to travel, to be housed with appropriate accommodations, and the right to be fully accepted and respected in our physical world, our societal world, all aspects of it, is something that is necessary for all of us. And is something that Judy was one of the key leaders to fight for, and I'll explain that in a second. I first met her in the late 70s when I moved to Berkeley to go to Cal. She was active in the local political coalition that I joined. And I was blown away because I had never been exposed to strong, outspoken people with disabilities. I think you probably remember my adjourn in memory for Hale Zukas. Hale Zukas was the disabled resident of Berkeley who could only, his mobility was pretty much limited to his head. And yet he communicated, and he was an activist, and along with Judy and Ed Roberts, founded such organizations as the Center for Disability, Berkeley Center for Independent Living, and also the, I gotta get the name of the organization that Ed Roberts and the World Institute on Disability. So this is what I'm referencing as both being national and international. Anyway, Judy was dedicated to building a more inclusive world for all of us. She served in senior positions in the Clinton and Obama administrations. She was featured in the 2020 Oscar-nominated documentary Crip Camp, A Disability Revolution, which I recommend to all of you and is on Netflix, and it was made by her friend and fellow camper, Jim Lebrecht. And in Berkeley, there is a giant, larger-than-life photo of Judy in the rotunda of what's known as the Ed Roberts campus, which is a campus located right at the Ashby BART station in Berkeley, and it is the heartbeat of California's disability rights community. Judy was born in Philadelphia, but she grew up in Brooklyn. She was the daughter of Jewish immigrants who fled Nazi Germany. At the age of 2, she contracted polio, and her doctor advised her parents, just like the parents of Hale Zukas, they advised to institutionalize them because she was never going to be able to walk. But her parents refused. And in her memoir, Being Human, Judy wrote that institutionalization was the status quo in 1949. Kids with disabilities were considered a hardship economically and socially. So when she attempted to enter kindergarten, the school said no, she would be a fire hazard. But her parents fought back and demanded that she have access to a classroom. She eventually attended a special high school. She earned her bachelor's degree from Long Island University, and then later went to Cal and received a master's in public health. In the 60s, and I'm now back to referencing Crip Camp, she became a counselor. She attended and became a counselor at Camp Gen Ed. It was one of the only summer camps designed specifically for disabled youth. It was in the Catskills, and it attracted young people from around the nation, several of whom, along with Judy, became the national leaders in this disability rights movement. Now, after getting her bachelor's degree in New York, Judy wanted to be a teacher at the New York City schools. But the State Board of Education refused to let her become a teacher, again, citing she would be a fire hazard. So she sued them and won, and became the first wheelchair-using teacher in New York history. When President Nixon vetoed the 1972 Rehabilitation Act, Judy led a demonstration that shut down Madison Avenue in Manhattan. She moved to Berkeley to get her master's degrees, and she continued her fight for civil rights. And she led a major protest in San Francisco to force the then Carter administration to fully implement Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, which was finally signed by Nixon in '73. But that protest in San Francisco at the Federal Building became the longest such protest in the nation, lasting for over a month. And if you watch the movie, Crip Camp, there's parts of that demonstration that are featured in it. They won. In Berkeley, Judy co-founded, as I mentioned, the Center for Independent Living and also the World Institute on Disability, and served on the board of Berkeley's Disability Rights Education and Defense Fund. Nationally and internationally, she served on the American Association of People with Disabilities Board, Human Rights Watch, the U.S. International Council on Disability, Save the Children, and more. And as I mentioned, she served in the administration of both President Clinton and President Obama. And she worked as the first special advisor for the international disability rights at the U.S. State Department. She loved musicals, movies, she traveled the world, she made new friends, she hung out with old ones, she had many dinners she organized. After she died, President Obama tweeted, "Judy Heumann dedicated her life to the fight for civil rights, starting as a young organizer at Camp Gen Ed and later helping lead the disability rights movement. Michelle and I were fortunate to work with her over the years and think of her and her family as our friends." President Biden memorialized her, calling Judy a trailblazer and a rolling warrior, acknowledging her role in federal and international disability rights. In her own memoir, Judy wrote, "Some people say that what I did changed the world, but really, I simply refused to accept what I was told about who I could be, and I was willing to make a fuss about it." She died March 4th in Washington, D.C. at age 75. She is survived by her husband, Jorge Pineda, along with her many family members and many, many dear friends who all miss her dearly. And I want to welcome, there are members in the gallery of the disability rights movement who are here also today to honor her. Thank you, Senate.